Hi, I'm Chris Grabastein. I'm the author of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library, about 3 other Lemoncello books. Also have another series called Welcome to Wonderland, Home Sweet Motel. And then I wrote all these ghost stories called the Haunted Mystery Series. And then this guy named James Patterson called up and he needed a little help writing his book. So I worked on iFunny and Treasure Hunters and House of Robots with him. And then my wife wanted to write a book. So we're writing a book together called Shine! Exclamation point. And I like to write books for kids who don't like to read, because guess who was what they called a reluctant reader when I was a kid? But we're not reluctant readers. We're simply super critical readers. We just want to read stories that get a movie started in our head. So it's great to be here in Texas, and I love meeting all of you guys.
Now, Chris, You've already told us a lot about you. So what I do want to know is, how early on did you start writing? Did you start writing as a child, or did you wait until you were a little older?
I started actually when I was in the 5th grade, because I was no good at anything else. My father wanted me to play sports, to play basketball, baseball, football, something with the ball involved. But I was the worst athlete ever created. We used to play kickball at recess, and I could strike out swinging 3 times in a row.
Oof.
So in 5th grade, I started writing these comic books, and I draw the pictures and make up the stories and pass them out to all my friends, and they'd laugh. And once you hear that laughter, Van, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once you hear that laughter, you're kind of hooked.
So you wrote for the Muppets. You got to meet a bunch of cool Muppets, I guess. You also wrote for commercials, is that correct?
Yeah, I spent almost 20 years writing radio and television commercial for people like Burger King and Dr. Pepper and 7-Up. Got to come to Texas a lot when I wrote for Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, buddy.
This is its hometown right here.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And my first boss in advertising was this guy named James Patterson.
Oh.
Yeah, and he left advertising, went off and wrote a couple books, I think.
Yeah, something.
And I said, maybe I can do that too.
So was he the one that gave you your shot at writing books?
No, I went off on my own, but he inspired me. He made me think that maybe something that we did in advertising where we grabbed people's attention right away might help me write like the fast-paced page turners like he writes. So yeah, he was my inspiration. And then eventually we bumped into each other and he said, you want to write some books with me? And now we have written 26 different books together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So when you started writing books, were you writing for adults or for children?
I started out writing books for adults, but I've got 20 nieces and nephews, and they all say, Uncle Chris, can we read your book? I said, no, no, they are adult books. You can read them when you turn 21. And then an editor read one of my spooky stories I had written, and it was a ghost story. And he said, you know what, this would make a good book for middle grade readers. Just cut out all the adult stuff and cut 70,000 words out of it. Cut it from 110,000 down to 40,000. And I did it. And when I was doing that, I realized I'm still 11 years old in my brain. And I had more fun writing that book than any of the adult books I ever wrote. And so now I haven't looked back. I've done 58 books, and of those, about 49 of them are for kids.
And so did you bring a copy of your newest book with you today?
Well, I brought a copy. What I have here is one that does not come out. It sparkles. You see how it's shining?
Very nice.
You see the book is called Shine and the cover shines.
Totally
I think the people
on the
at
nose.
Random House are just geniuses. They give it. And so everybody says, sparkle, sparkle. And this one I actually wrote with my wife, and guess what?
What?
We're still married.
Hey-o.
We wrote a book together.
You were able to work together and you kept the relationship
we
going.
collaborated together on a book. It was actually her idea. It was a story she always wanted to tell, or a story. She reads all my stuff first. She's been my secret weapon for 58 books. She reads everything. She has a very short attention span. And if anything is boring, she lets me know and I make those changes. And so here she is living with a children's author. And she said, I wish someone had written a book when I was a kid that said who you are is just as important as what you accomplish. And I said, we should write that book together. And so we did.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so how was it working alongside your wife? I mean, you guys live together.
Well, yeah, we do. And she is an actress. She does a lot of voiceover actress. She actually does the audiobooks for my Haunted Mystery series.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so she's been an actress and she's done off-Broadway musicals and stuff. So she wanted to act everything out. Meanwhile, I went to journalism school and learned how to type, and now I can type 120 words a minute. Woo. So I think through my fingers. So we're together. She's going, I think what would happen. I'm in the story now. Don't talk to me. And the finger. So I'm hearing them in my head, and they're coming through my fingers. So it worked out best that I would, almost like I work with James Patterson, I'd write a draft. She'd look at it, make copious notes, and then we'd talk about that back and forth. It's easier to write together when you have something to react to, something on paper.
So do you pull a lot of the ideas from these books from your life? Or, I mean, where?
Oh yeah, no, I tell kids, the way to get a story is you gotta do this. Like, can you stroke your chin there for me? You gotta do this. You gotta kind of look around, and you gotta look for something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit unusual, because nobody wants to read nice stories about nice people having a nice day. Or ordinary people doing ordinary things in an ordinary way. That just be boring.
Right.
So the whole book, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library, the one that's, there's 1 million copies in print and kids all over know it. I got that idea when I was visiting a school in Brooklyn, New York, that looked like all the other schools in Brooklyn, New York, as red brick, 3 stories tall, been there since 1932, forget about it.
You know.
So I said, it's an ordinary school, there won't be a story here, but they had upstairs where I met the kids, a brand new state-of-the-art library. So I said to the teacher, how'd you get this brand new library in your old-fashioned building? And she said, oh, a very generous millionaire donated it to us. So that day on the subway ride home, I wrote down the 2 magic words that have started every single one of those stories I've written. What if? What if a very generous and slightly loony bazillionaire donated a library to the town where he grew up? And the whole thing got started from that one sentence.
Goodbye!
Bye, everybody!